All right, I want you to write that down. F, C, G, D, A, E, B. And then I want you to, in reverse, write B, E, A, D, G, C, F. I'm going to show you how I think it would be good for you to do it. See, I put a little sharp sign next to Father Charles Goes Down and Ends Battle. And then I put a little flat sign next to Battle Ends and Down Goes, should be Charles's father. Sorry, I've done it the wrong way around. Charles's father. Like that. Okay. Now, whenever you're working with key signatures and with keys, I recommend that you put those two rhymes at the top of the page. It seems like some of you are getting confused whether you should be using sharps or flats. So that's why I keep on asking the question, what is, or can you write the key signature for F sharp major and the key signature for F major? F sharp major has 7 sharps. And those are 6 sharps. And those 6 sharps are F, C, G, D, A, and E in that order. But F major has 1 flat. That flat is B. Many of you got that it was 1 flat, but you made that flat F as though it was the first sharp. Remember, the order of the flats is the opposite of the order of the sharps. So it's very important that you get that right, okay? Now, what I'd like you to do on one of your lines is to write the key signature with all 7 sharps, all 7 sharps, okay? Which key has all of the 7 sharps? Who can tell me?
C sharp.
C sharp, correct. What you'll find is an interesting phenomenon in music theory. C major has no sharps and no flats. C sharp major has all of the sharps. And C flat major has all of the flats. So it's either all or nothing. Okay, so write out the key signature for C sharp major. Now, what I notice, and I'm going to show you what some of you are doing. I'm going to write out what some of you are doing here. Some of you are writing a key signature that looks like that. Okay, it's got all of the 7 sharps and it looks like they're in the right order. But do you see that some of the sharps are right on top of each other or underneath each other? When we are writing a key signature, they have to be next to each other. The sharps and the flats need to be next to each other, like in this picture here. Okay? They cannot be on top of each other, like in this picture. They must be next to each other. Then the next thing, which is very important, and I see that some of you are doing this, is that once you've written the key signature, you need to imagine that there is a little space, and I'm going to show you how that works. So I'm writing out here the key signature for C sharp. And then I'm putting what needs to be an imaginary line in your mind. Okay, so have a look here. And you'll see that I've put a very light line going over here. Okay, when you are writing a scale, you need to start the scale after that line. So the scale can't start underneath the key signature over here. Some of you start the scale over here and then go up, but it actually needs to start after the key signature is finished. So it should start somewhere over here. Does that make sense? Because I see that some of you, when you wrote the scale for C sharp major and for C flat major, that you started the scale already underneath or on top of the key signature. You must first finish the key signature and then it must start after it. So let me give you an example. Here is C sharp major scale ascending in the treble clef. Do you see that the middle C starts after the key signature? It starts over there. Some of you were starting it underneath there. Okay, so please make sure that you don't make that mistake again. All right. The other thing is that you must learn the key signatures in the order that I'm showing you now, or in the sequence that I'm showing you now. So I'm going to do the sharps and the flats in the treble clef, and then in the bass clef as well. Some of you are still not getting the correct positions for the sharps and the flats. And this is exceptionally important. Okay, it's just one of those things that you have to learn by heart. Once you've got them, then you won't forget them. Right, so here is the treble clef. There is the sequence for the sharps in the treble clef and in the bass clef. Do you notice that the A sharp comes down here? Some of you are putting it up above the stave, okay? It must be down, okay? In the bass clef, some of you are bringing the A sharp and the B sharp up over here instead of down. Same with the flats. Some of you are putting the flats too high. It must look like this, and it must look like that, okay? If it doesn't look like that, it is incorrect, and it will be marked incorrect, okay? So it's in your best interest just to learn the sequence of the sharps and flats correctly. So please, now I want you to take 2 minutes to write out in the treble clef and in the bass clef, C sharp major in the treble clef and in the bass clef, and C sharp and C flat major in the treble clef and in the bass clef. Just the key signatures, okay? Once you've done that, I want you to take a photograph of it and send it to me on WhatsApp. I'm giving you 3 minutes to do that. It's not going to take long. So on your ruled lines, you're going to use that Father Charles Goes Down and Ends Battle to give you the correct order. And you need to put it, or put each of those sharps in the correct place. And you need to make sure that they are not underneath each other, but next to each other. I want to see them all correctly written. So for all of you who are now here, I'm going to name you now. Just hang on, let me take this away. The participants today are Bongani, Kanisile, Mfundo, Mpilo, Nelisiwe, Tetelo, Tamia, and Tabo. I'm expecting to see in the next 3 minutes on WhatsApp photographs of C sharp major in the bass clef and the treble clef, and C flat major in the bass clef and the treble clef, correctly written and correctly spaced. I'm giving you 3 minutes to do that now. Your 3 minutes is almost up. Got one from Tabo now. She's the first to submit. Every time you hear one of Didi, that means somebody submitted. Tamia, thank you. Tabo, yours are correct. Tamia, yours are correct as well. Okay, I don't want to wait too much longer now, please. Let's see the rest of your photos coming in now. Thank you, Tetelelo. I see yours has arrived now. Good, that's super. Very nice. Three so far, 6 to go. All right, while the rest of you are finishing that off. Thank you, Pilo. Let's check yours quickly. How many flats has C flat major got? Who can tell me?
Seven.
7. Good. Can you tell me what the order of the flats is?
B, E, A, D, G, C, F.
Good, thank you. Okay, now what I noticed is that in the worksheet, a lot of you were putting only 4 flats for C flat major. Do you see now that it should have 7? If you go onto the circle of fifths, you go onto the circle of fifths, you'll see that C flat is also for B major. Do you see that they share the same thing? C flat and B major have the same thing. Let me just show you quickly as a picture. We are circle of fifths. There we go. Okay, I'm going to share a picture with you online now. And can you just indicate to me when you can see it? Can you see it? Thank you. Okay. Now, have a look over here. Can you see this green block here? Where B and C flat are. Okay. C flat, do you see over there? C flat, there is the key signature. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We remember for the flat keys, we are working in this direction. We're going this way. All right. So F major has 1 flat, B flat, B flat 3, A flat 4, D flat 5, G flat 6, C flat 7. You with me? And do you see that C sharp is just on the other side of that? And this is, we're going in this direction over here, starting with G1, D2, A3, E4, B has got 5, F has got 6, and C has got 7. There is the order for the 7 sharps. Okay. So it's important to realize that C major has got nothing. C sharp has got all 7 sharps. C flat has got all 7 flats. All right. Now, the second thing that I want to deal with today is ledger lines, because I see a lot of you are making errors with ledger lines. So the first thing I want to show you is a ledger line thing that many of you are doing. Stop sharing the screen now. And I'm going to put up a picture. Can you see that note over there? Do you see that it's got a line underneath it and a line on top of it? Can you see that? Now,
Yes, sir.
I want to point out to you that when you are doing ledger lines and you are above the stave, if the note is on a ledger line, if it's resting on, it doesn't need a ledger line above it. Okay, so have a look at these ledger lines over here. Do you see? Sorry, this one here, there's no line on top of it. This one here, there's no line on top of it. They're resting on top of lines, but they don't need a line on top of them. Can you see that? That is the correct way to write the ledger lines, if they are resting on top of a line. Then this is another thing that I'm seeing quite regularly. So let's say you've got A, B, and then C. A, B, C above. So I'm going to show you the picture. That's what I'm seeing over there. A, B, C. Can you see those three notes? So you'll see that the B has got a line on top of it, and the C has only got one ledger line, but it actually needs another line underneath it. So here, let me just get this up here. There is A, B, and C. Do you see that there is a ledger line underneath there? You've got to keep the ledger lines going as you go up. So I'm putting here G, A, B, C, D, E. The correct way to write the ledger lines above the stave. The ledger lines above the stave, okay? Now I'm going to do the ones below here as well. So that you can see them below the ledger line. So there they are in the treble clef. D, C, B, A, G, and F. What I want you to do now, in the treble clef, all of you who are in this meeting, Bongani, Kanisile, Mfundo, Mpilo, Nelesiwe, Tetelo, Sifundo, Tamia, and Tabo. I want you to rule out for me a stave and put a treble clef at the front of it. And then I want you to do all of the ledger lines above the stave, starting on G. G doesn't have a ledger line, but I want A, B, C, D, and E for the ledger lines above the treble clef. And then below the treble clef, I want B, D, C, B, A, G, and F. So it should look like this. I'm going to take a picture of it now, and I'm going to put it onto the YouTube group. And I want you to do that exactly for me, please, on a stave. And I want you to send a photograph of it to me now. Okay, so first I'm going to send a photograph of it to you. And then I want you to do it for me and send a picture back to me. Okay? Okay, so I've sent the picture to the WhatsApp group. Now I want you to do that for me and send me the pictures back so that I can check them. I'm just checking your key signatures as well at the moment. Ongani, yours are okay. Just in the base clef with the sharps, if you can space them a little bit more, because otherwise it looks sometimes like they're on top of each other, okay? Nelisiwe, your sharps are correct, but your flats, the G flat and the F flat in the bass clef, they need to come down an octave. Just have a look here quickly. Do you see that they all march in the bass clef there? They all come down in sequence. I'm going to put a picture of these on the WhatsApp group so that you can see that, okay? And I want you to try that again for me, please. Just in case you didn't understand what I want you to have a stave with a treble clef at the front, and I want you to do all of the notes going above the stave up until E with the ledger lines correctly done, like I've posted on the WhatsApp group, and all of the ledger lines going down all the way to F, like I've done on the WhatsApp group. Okay, you'll see it on the group. Lempilo, yours are correct now. Well done. Mfundo, can you just check the message that I've sent to you?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Can you see that? Can you just check your, I've just sent you a message now. If you can just check that, please. Tamia, yours are right. Well done. Good, Tetelelo, yours are lovely. Well done. Sifundo, yours are very good. Well done. Okay, so the important thing here, just keep on working on them while we're talking, because it's very important that you get these small things correct, okay? I know they feel like small things, but the small things count a lot in music theory. It's the small details that get you the marks in these things, okay? Because the more that you get the small details correct, the more likely it is that you will get the whole answer right. It's a bit like mathematics in that if you make a mistake in one of the steps, it's going to affect all of the other ones. And you'll see that just now when we're working on the intervals, because you'll see how key signatures play a very important role, and scales play a very important role in getting your intervals correct. Okay. All right. So now, while you are waiting, I want you to rule out 5 more lines, another stave, because we're going to work on some of the intervals now, okay? Some of the more difficult intervals. So if you can just have a blank stave ready, and we're going to be focusing on the intervals that were in the treble clef for worksheet 3, okay? And I'm going to put them up on the screen for you in a minute. Just opening them up. Now, usually, if we were in class together, I would be able to let you do this and walk around. But I'm just making you give it to me now on WhatsApp, because that's the closest that I can get for you to being in a class. So I'm sorry about that, but we'll continue to work like this for the moment, just so that I can make sure that you are doing things correctly. Okay. It's very, very important that you get these things correct. Okay. So let me just share with you the screen. If you can just tell me, please, when you can see the screen. And then next to your stave that you've drawn, I want you to draw a circle of fifths, okay? So I'm going to draw one quickly for you. It doesn't need to be a fancy one, just a quick one. C, G, D, A, E, E, F sharp, C sharp, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, E flat, G flat, C flat. So this is what it would, sorry, let me just get it on the camera properly for you. Okay, so just a little one next to your staves, okay? Just draw it for me. In fact, if you like, I can put it up, a picture of it for you now, just so that you can copy it down. That might make it a little bit easier for you. Because I want you to see now how scales and key signatures come together to help you to do intervals. Okay, everything that you learn now from this semester is drawing on what you've already learned from the first semester and putting it together in new ways so that you can create new knowledge. Okay, that's how you're going to be learning all the way through university now. Whatever you learn in the first semester, you're going to use in the second semester. Whatever you learn in the second semester, you're going to use the next year in the first semester to build on that knowledge. Okay, so there's the circle of fifths for you. Just copy that down. You don't need to put all of the key signatures there, but just make sure that you've got everything ready there. All right. While you're doing that, who can tell me when you were doing these exercises, the worksheets, it seems to me that the ones in the base clef of the intervals you found quite easy because most of you got all of those correct. But the ones in the treble clef, you seem to have struggled with more. Is that right? You're also quiet today. Thank you. I've got from Tabo, Kanyisile, Nelisiwe, and Bongani. I've got pictures. Thank you. Kanyisile, your notes are very nice. Nelisiwe, your notes are also very nice. Bongani, yours are good too. All right, let's start by looking at the first example in the treble clef. So I'm not going to do any of the ones in the base clef because most of you seem to have got those correct. Okay, let's look at the ones in the treble clef. So the first one, and I'm looking at this one over here. Okay. Who can tell me what the two notes are? What are these two notes that we're working with? What are their names?
A and E flat.
A and E flat. Good. Who can tell me now, not Tabo this time, which note is the lowest note?
A.
A, correct. Okay, so we have to start counting from A. This is the easy part, okay? A, B, C, D, E. So we can work out very simply, and most of you got this right, by the way. You got the number of the interval correct. Okay, so we're working with a fifth. Now, what quality can intervals be of a fifth? What kind of quality can fifths be? Who can tell me what are the three different qualities that a fifth can be? Not Tabo and not Ntetelelo. Somebody else. Can fifths be major?
No, sir.
No, they can't. What are they usually? What are the qualities of a fifth or fourth or an octave? They all share that same quality. Are they imperfect or perfect?
Perfect.
Perfect, yes. And if they are bigger than perfect, what are they called?
Major.
No, they can't be major. If they're bigger than perfect, they must be?
Augmented.
Yes, correct, augmented. And if they are smaller than perfect?
Diminished.
Diminished. Good, okay. So when we're dealing with a fifth, we already know that they cannot be major and they cannot be minor. So we have to rule those two options out. Our only options are perfect, augmented, or diminished. Okay, those are the only options that we have, three options. Now, how are we going to work that out? we take the lowest note. And the lowest note we've already worked out is an A. Now, on your circle of fifths, I want you to find A for me, please. A. And somebody in the group, can you please tell me, anybody, does A major have sharps or flats in it?
Sharp.
Correct. It does have sharps. How many sharps does it have?
3.
3. Who can tell me what those 3 sharps are?
F, C, and G.
F, C, and G. Good. Now, I want you all, please, to write out an A major ascending scale starting on this A over here. Okay, that's the second space. On the second space, write an A major scale ascending and put in the sharps manually. Okay, so that means put the sharps in front of the notes exactly where they are. Don't use a key signature. Okay, I'm giving you 2 minutes to do that now. Okay, it shouldn't take you too long. Write out the A major scale ascending, put in the sharps, and then take a photo of it for me, please, and send it to me. Okay. Do it in the treble clef, by the way. Treble clef.
Sir, can you please repeat the question for me?
Yes, of course. I would like you in the treble clef to write out the A major scale ascending. So that's going up, okay, without key signature. So that means you need to put the sharps in front of each note that needs a sharp, okay? Remember we said there must be an F sharp, a C sharp, and a G sharp. So put a sharp in front of the C and the F and the G. And it must start on this A over here in the second line, okay? Second space.
Yes, sir.
Once you've done that, send a photo of it to me on WhatsApp, please. Thank you for your circle of fifths, Sifundo. Can I please, Sifundo, can I please share that on the WhatsApp group so that other people can use it as well? Thank you, Tamia. That's correct. Elisiwe, that is correct. Well done. All right, once you have drawn the scale, next to the scale, I want you to draw the 2 notes of the interval, the A and the E flat. So I'll just give you a quick demonstration. That's what I'm looking for over there, okay? Can you see what I've done? Can you do that, please? Thank you, Tabo, that's correct. Sifundo, that's correct. Thank you, Bongani. Pilo, I can just see it, but it's correct. Thank you. Can you see it? I'm just sending you a picture now of what I'm looking for, okay? I'm just sending it through now. Now, I want on your scale, on the scale that you've written out, to circle the two notes that have the same letter names as the ones in the interval. So you're going to circle A, which is the first note, and you're going to circle E. Circle A and E. Okay, like that. Can you see? So I've got the interval notes over there, and I've circled the same notes on the scale with the same letter names, A and E. Are you with me? Lungisi, I'm going to send a picture of my scale to you. You've got too many notes here. Okay, just look carefully and also look at my G sharp. I want you to see how I've done G sharp. See that I haven't put a line on top of it. Remember, when you are writing notes that are on a space, they don't need to have a line. You don't need to draw a line above them. Okay, so just look at I'm going to send you a photo now. Tetelelo, just see the little message that I've sent you, please. Okay, there's something else that I just want to point out to you. Can you tell me, must the sharp sign, when you are writing a scale, so you've got notes on your piece of paper, must the sharp or the flat sign come on the left-hand side of the note or on the right-hand side of the note? Who can tell me? On the left-hand side. Thank you, Tamir. Just have a look, everybody, look on this on your screen now. Do you see that the sharp signs and the flat signs are always on the left-hand side of the note? They are never on the right-hand side of the note. Okay? That's very important. Some of you are putting the sharp signs on the wrong side of the note. Okay, now, do you notice that in the scale of A major, there is no E flat? Can you see that? If there was an E flat in the scale, then the interval would be perfect. So when the two notes of the scale are exactly the same as the two notes of the interval, then the interval of a fifth would be perfect. But the notes are not the same here, okay? You can see that. The E in the scale is an E natural, whereas the E in the interval is an E flat. Now, who can tell me, is E natural or sorry, is E flat higher or lower than E natural? Is E flat higher or lower than E natural? Who can tell me?
Lower, yeah.
It's lower. Okay, good. So here's another little helpful hint for you when you are doing intervals. I always draw this little picture so that I can see for myself. I'm just putting it up here. Can you see this picture over here? Sharp at the top, natural in the middle, and flat at the bottom. Okay? Then I can actually see if the note is natural, it's actually above the flat. Can you see that?
Yes.
So I recommend that you always draw that little picture when you are working with intervals so that you can make sure. So we know now that the E flat is lower than the E natural. So this interval is lower than a perfect fifth. Which name would we give it? Is it augmented or is it diminished?
Diminished.
Diminished because it's smaller. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good. We're going to do another example like this. So please, can you rule out 5 more lines because we're going to do another scale like this one. Now, most of you wrote perfect fifth for this first one. Can you see now how I've worked out what this interval actually is? It takes quite a long time, but it gives you the correct answer. So when you are working with intervals now, it's not going to take you a quick time. The quick time is finding out how big the interval is, if it's what the size, the number is. But the actual quality of the interval takes a lot longer to work out. Okay, but that's okay. It doesn't matter if it takes a long time as long as you get the correct answer. So now we're going to look at the second example over here. Pilo, can you tell me what those 2 notes are? What are the 2 notes that we're working with here in the treble clef?
It's F and
Yes, F
it's
is
F.
one. And?
I think it's E.
Yes,
Top.
correct. F and E. Now, can you see there? You tell me which note is the lowest note here. Is it the F or the E? Which note is lowest?
F.
Yes, correct. So we need to start counting from F. Let's all do it together. F, G, A, B, C, D, E. So we're working with a 7th. Now, most of you wrote here major 7th. Let's check if you were correct or not. So we know that the lowest note is F sharp. I want you to go to your circle of fifths, and Mfundo, can you please tell me how many sharps has F sharp major got?
Six.
6, yes, correct. It's got 6. Let's see, Bongani, can you tell me what those 6 sharps are in order, in the correct order? Just remember to unmute yourselves.
It's F,
Yes,
C,
yes,
G,
correct.
It's F, C, G. 1, 2, 3, F, C, G.
You can help him. What's the fourth one?
A and
D.
D.
Yes, D.
A,
Father
E,
Charles
B.
goes down. A is the next one, correct? And the last one? Father
E.
Charles, yes, E, correct. Okay, so we need
Yeah.
F, C, G, D, A, and E. Now, all of you, thanks, Bongani. All of you, I want you to write out the F sharp major scale ascending in the treble clef, starting on this F sharp over here. This F sharp, and you're going to put all of the sharps in manually. Remember to put the sharps on the left-hand side, okay? So please write that out for me. The F sharp major scale ascending, putting in all of the correct sharps. Once you've done that, take a photo of it and send it to me. Correct, Lungisi, that's very good. Correct, Mfundo, very nice. Well done, Tamia. Thank you, Hilo, that's correct. Good, thanks, Tabo. Good, Kanyisile. Nelisiwe, good, that's fine. Tetelelo, that's good. All right. See, you're getting quicker at this now, so that's very good. Right, now next to that, I want you to draw 2 notes of the interval. So the F sharp and the E. Is this E in the interval an E natural or an E sharp?
In actual.
Yes. Okay. Now, who can tell me if E natural is higher or lower than E sharp?
Low.
Yes, it's lower. Okay. If we look at our little picture, there's the natural sign. So E natural is underneath E sharp. Okay. So that means that it's lower. Now, sevenths. What can sevenths be? Are sevenths perfect? Can a seventh be perfect?
No.
No, they can't be perfect. What can they be?
Major.
Yes, they can be major. If they,
Minor.
yes, they can be minor or
Diminished.
augmented. Yes. So if the two notes of the interval were exactly the same as the two notes of the same letter name in the scale, it would be a major interval because that's a major scale. Okay. But in this case, we're dealing with an interval that's a bit smaller than the major interval. So what kind of a seventh is this? Is it minor or is it augmented? Minor. Thank you, Tamia. It's minor. Okay. It's minor because in the scale we had an E sharp. Okay. But in the interval we had an E flat. The E flat is lower than the E sharp. So the interval is smaller. Okay. Now that shows you how to do all of those intervals. And I recommend that we continue with one extra exercise because we won't need to rewrite the whole scale for this one. I want you to look at this one over here. This is the fourth one. And who can tell me which two notes we are working with over here?
G.
F and G. Right, so if we count the size, F, G, we're working with a second. Okay. Now, which is the lowest note? The G or the F sharp?
It's F sharp.
Correct, F sharp. So we've already got the F sharp scale written out. Okay, so we were lucky here. All right. And if we compare the notes, F sharp and G, with the first and the second note of the F sharp major scale, are they the same or are they different? Is there a G natural in F sharp major?
No, G sharp.
Yeah, there's a G sharp. So let's have a look at our little picture again. Wait, where is it? Sorry, there's the picture. Is G natural higher or lower than G sharp? Is it higher or lower? G natural.
Lower.
Lower. It's lower. Good. So a second, can you have perfect seconds?
No.
No, you can't have a perfect second. Can you have a major second?
Yes.
You can have a major second. A major second would have been an F sharp and a G sharp. Okay, that would have been a major second because in the F sharp major scale, there is a G, but we're dealing with a G natural, which is lower, okay, than the major. So which interval or which quality is lower than the major? Is it augmented or is it minor?
It is minor.
Correct. Okay, so we're dealing with a minor second. I think you're beginning to get this process now. It's a long process for each interval. But if you can do this, you will actually see that your writing out of scales becomes much quicker and much more accurate. Can you see how important scales are now in a different process? We're using the scales to work out something completely different. Okay. So you are doing well. If you can do these things, you are doing very, very nicely. Okay. All right. Are there any questions that you want to ask at this point? No questions. All right. Now, the other thing which I'm really pleased about is those of you who have submitted the oral exercises. I can see that you are doing really nicely with the clapping. So I'm so pleased about that because it has improved a lot since last week. So well done for those of you who have really worked on the clapping. I'm very pleased with your progress on that. However, many of you are struggling, I can see, with the singing. So I want to look at the singing exercise that was for last week to see if we can help you to improve that. So I'm going to share a screen with you now. Tell me when you can see that. If you can just put a thumbs up or if you can say, I can see. All right, good. This is the singing exercise over here. Okay. Now, many of you sang the exercise for me and you named all of the notes while you were singing and they were all correct. The names of the notes were correct, but the actual sound of the tune was not correct. So you were singing the right letter names, but you were not actually singing the right pitches. So I want to give you a little hint here to help you with how to do this. Let's have a look at these dots of the notes and imagine that they were dots on a graph. So if you have this written out at home, in fact, what I'm going to do is just write it out for you so you can see what I mean. You can join the dots together and then you'll be able to see what, as a visual representation, the melody should sound like. So I'm just ruling the lines quickly, and then I'm going to draw the melody for you. You can tell me, by the way, by looking at the key signature, which major key this piece of music is in. How many sharps has it got?
3, so it's A major.
Yes, because if you went to the circle of fifths and you looked for a key with 3 sharps, you would find that it was A major. All right, now I am going to show you a picture here. I've drawn the melody for you there. Okay, now I'm going to pretend those dots are dots on a graph. I've joined them all together. Can you see that? And if I draw that as a sort of a picture, that's what the picture kind of looks like. Do you see that it goes down, up, a little bit up, and then it comes back down. But there's this section here where everything is sort of lined out. Can you see that? So if we were to sing this like this graph, let's just say that this is the starting note here. La, and it went like this. La. Okay, that's kind of what we would get. La. And in fact, that is very close to what the melody actually is. So I'm going to show you here. Here's the starting note. Okay. There's the second note. There's the third note. There's the fourth note. So they just go down. La, 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 la. Then they go back up. La, la, la. So the beginning of the tune just goes la, 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 la. Down and then up again. And then we've got two notes that are the same. So we have to repeat. La, 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 la. Okay, same note. So we've got to give it the same sound. Then it goes up. So we've got to go one note up there. La, 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 la. And it comes back down to A. All right. So when you are trying to work out how a melody is going, you can always draw little lines from each of the notes to each other to see in which direction it is going. This melody goes down first and then up, a little bit up and then down again. Let's have a look at the tune from last week. Here's the tune from last week. It goes up, a little bit down, and up again. Then it drops suddenly. Do you see that? It gets a big drop back to the level of the beginning. Then it goes up and comes back down again, but not so far up this time. So if we were to draw a picture of that as a graph, it would look something like this. Okay, so if we were to sing la, okay, that would give us basically the outline of the tune. Let's start on this note, and this is what it sounds like. La, la, la. Now it goes down, okay? La, 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 la. And you'll see that that note over here and this note are the same. La, 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 la. Then we have to go up some more, okay? La, 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 la. This note is a longer note, so we've got to wait there. La, 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 la. Then we have this big jump all the way down to the same note as the starting note. Do you see that these two notes are the same? So we've just got to remember what the opening note was. La, 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 la. That gets us to that note. Then it goes up, down, down. La, 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 la. That's how simple it is. If we look at the first week's one, do you see that it's just going up, then it stays the same, it goes one up, and then it just comes all the way down. So if we were to draw that as a graph, it would go up, stay the same, a little bit up, and then down. Like that. Okay. That, I think, will help you to see the direction of the melody. If the graph goes up, you have to sing up. If the graph comes down, you have to sing down. Does that help you?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Are there any further questions about the worksheet that you did this last week? I hope that what I've done with you today has helped. But I think if you are going to get the best benefits from today's class, I highly recommend that you go back to those intervals, particularly the intervals in the treble clef, and redo them the way that we've done them today. Okay, that will help you to get a really strong feeling for how these intervals work. Okay, the only way to get better at this is to keep practicing it. And you'll see that in the fourth worksheet, there are more intervals for you to do as well. So I'm hoping to see a dramatic improvement in your interval recognition this coming week. I am not going to cover any of the new material in this class today, because I want you to watch those videos that are up on YouTube already. And then we'll deal with anything that comes up with that in our class next week. Okay. That's all for this theory class.